Welcome to Chopping It Up, a podcast powered by Journey, where we talk about freight, how people got to where they are, and their career journeys, pun intended. All right, let's chop it up. What's up, everyone? Welcome to Chopping It Up, powered by Journey, a special episode here in my living room with some of my favorite people to celebrate Black History Month. I'm going to do some quick intros. My name is Will Jenkins, CEO and founder of Journey, and I'm going to pass it over to Germaine.
Will, thanks for having us. Very excited to be here. Germaine Harris, private wealth advisor in a private bank, working with business owners as they're selling their businesses.
Thank you, man. Great to be here. Walter Hughes. I'm a doer of many things.
I think that's a fair representation. I know you got a lot of different titles. So first, I just want to thank Germaine. I actually met Walter through Germaine. He's done a ton, for our community as we've been able to meet different influential leaders. So without Germaine, all of us wouldn't be here right now. So we appreciate it. Yeah. So would love to give our listeners just a quick pass over on your career, kind of how you got to where you are, and then we'll kind of dive into some of the questions today.
Oh, gosh. So working in finance, working in investments, I always knew this was something I wanted to do. Going back to when I was a kid, my mom used to talk to me about the stock market, and I was always kind of intrigued by the stocks changing and what it meant for value going up and value going down and recessions and all that. So she got me really hooked on getting into investments. So ever since I was a kid, I was hooked on this idea that, you could invest your money and it would actually grow. So what did that actually mean? Much later in my life, I think what I came across, and I think it's relevant to this conversation, is you'll hear me talk about this later, but financial mistakes. So there are things that you can do that can also destroy wealth, right? And I saw some of that in my own family, which is really what got me hooked into going into the private wealth advising of helping people with those decisions. So all throughout my career, it's been about going into the stock market, learning as I go. And right now it's about helping people try to avoid some of those financial mistakes and grow their money as well. So that's how I got here. That's what I do.
Beautiful. How about you, Walter?
Man, my career has been interesting. It's like an abstract mosaic painting of, I started out in telecommunications, then I worked in government for a while. So Mike Pence administration, I worked in 2 mayors in Indianapolis, worked in startups, worked in healthcare at Anthem, Fortune 20 company. I worked at Meta. I was the global head of support at Meta for a while. I'm in the venture capital space. Currently, I'm an equity partner at Transform VC. It's a venture capital firm that focuses on social and environmental tech with deep technology moats. I head partnerships and strategy at Quant 16 here in Chicago with Mr. Robert Blackwell. I'm CEO of Epigenesis. It's an AI firm, and I'm also a broker of commodity deals, as well as I sit on the leadership council of the National Small Business Association. So I do a lot of different things.
Just drop the commodity thing right in there.
Oh yeah. I broke a large commodity deals, but my journey's been kind of characterized by impact. I'm really big on things I can do to make an impact, and I never stay anywhere too long.
Yeah.
I always stay long enough to make my impact, get out, help other people, and then do something cool after that.
I respect it, man. One of the first things that, stood out to me about both of y'all was that impact. And it was great to meet you. I met you first maybe 2 years ago at a dinner that Germaine had, and then you had another one this fall, probably September, that got everybody together. And again, just the impact really made a difference. So would love to get a feel for, between either of you, whoever wants to go first, maybe a Black History Month figure or someone in your life that stood out and made an impact on your life early on.
Sure, I will. I'll jump into that. So I was, I was talking about my parents earlier in terms of my mom getting me into investing. And so when I think about people that had a significant impact on me, it's my parents, right? And it's something that I think about all the time because both my parents have since passed away. And I think about that and it's like they passed away way too young. My dad, who was the last to pass away, I think I was 30 when he passed away. And I was talking to another gentleman last week and another Black gentleman, and his parents both had passed away. I think he was 24 years old. And so when I started thinking about the health disparity of outcomes across just the race, it just always stands out to me. And so I think about health disparity, I think about wealth disparity, and a lot of it goes back to kind of watching my parents and kind of their journey coming up and watching them pass away and the impact that they had on our family. So when I think about the impact of where I am now, and I think the biggest impact has definitely come from my parents.
How about you, Walt?
I think for me, it's interesting. It's a cumulative approach, meaning like it's my parents, it's my environment, it's books I've read, it's people that I've met, it's people that I haven't met, right? It's kind of recognizing the beauty and the diaspora of Black people, even within the country. Like I think that's what's really made me just realize I too can make a crazy impact on somebody. And so, what drives me forward with Black History Month or just Black history in general is knowing that I'm a thread in that tapestry, right? Like the work that I do today, however small. I think I wrote somewhere a long time ago that no individual raindrop ever considers itself responsible for the flood, but it all adds up. I'm just a raindrop in this thing of life. But as a Black man existing, doing what I do today, I exist so somebody else can do something better. So my Black history impact is it's a culmination of all the things Germaine said, everything, my parents, my family, books I've read, things like it's everything. Everything Black is my Black history.
Yeah, I respect that. For me, it's definitely my parents. They were great examples for me, and I always remember growing up and having my mom be like, don't idolize somebody that you don't know or that you can't reach out and have a conversation with, or they're not going to actually be there for you. And I saw them both work incredibly hard, be just great role models, and so that set me up to have the work ethic to be like, look, if mom and pops are out here getting it every day and doing these things, like I should also be able to do that same thing. And I think about getting into the corporate world, and I've got one mentor I've worked with since I was 22. Her name is Joy Stevens. She was my first, probably true sales coach at Kimberly-Clark. But seeing her be so much further ahead of me in her career and like really, really crushing it at this large $17 billion company, I'm like, that's incredible, right? Like I could maybe be you one day, but you look like me in this like big, massive organization. So stuff like that, the people that I could like really, really have a phone call with and still talk to and be a part of my life, like that stuff has mattered to me for sure.
Yeah. That's what's up.
Yeah. So I think this will be important for both of y'all because you think about impact and the corporations you've been a part of, the lives that you've been a part of. So let's talk about corporate impact and any of the roles that you've had. Anything stick out for you when you think about the impact you've been able to have on that corporation and maybe other Black or brown individuals that are part of that organization?
I think for me, I've been fortunate. So I've been able to work for some of the most amazing organizations and companies in the world, whether it's Facebook, whether it's in government, it's healthcare. I've really been I've been an executive in 8 or 9 industries in the last 15 years, right? And the one thing I can say that I've done in each of my roles is I've always found someone to bring along, to help them move them and see them become something great. And so for me, impact is just being that voice. It's adding that extra layer or that extra consideration that maybe they don't think about. And it's also kind of just allowed me to, I don't know, like I've had a lot of fun over the years, but I've also been able to make a lot of cool friends, but also see a lot of people succeed. And so I guess my impact is helping others become their best self. So at the end of the day, when I'm long gone away, people can say, I contributed to their success, or I helped them be successful, I helped them think of something differently. So I think that's how I look at it from a corporate perspective. It's important as Black executives to be open, to be receptive, to be you have a lot of responsibility. You have your day job or whatever, but at the same time, people look at you as you're the one in the seat. They look at you as where they want to be. You make the money, you do this, you do that. You're with the CEO, blah, 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 blah. And so my goal is always be to be transparent, but also to bring folks along to help them, I think Robert Blackwell said, he talks about social mobility, and it's about how you reach back and you pull others along. And so that's been my goal the whole time.
I respect that.
Yeah, and when I think about impact, I think about it in a couple of different ways. One, I really enjoy what I get to do every day. I think about the impact that has. So one of the things I'm working on right now, as a matter of fact, talking about impact, it's a Black-owned business. Guy's doing really well. He's got significant revenue, but he's at a bank who doesn't recognize his revenue and the growth trajectory of that. So he's having trouble getting access to a loan. And so one of the things I'm fighting for internally right now is how we can get this guy a loan. And so we're pretty well on that path. He's been approved, and I think we're in the next couple of weeks, knock on something, we're going to end up extending him an offer for a loan where he couldn't get access to the capital to grow his business. And that stuff excites me. That's the impact of, impacting clients and helping them actually grow those businesses. That gets me excited on a daily basis. But then I also think about the impact. And I look at the two of you, and so in my office, I am the only Black wealth advisor in my office, right? So talking about this during Black History Month, I'll go into a meeting, I'll look around, and by the way, there's got to be 30, 35 advisors in that office, right? So coming to an office like that and showing them that, hey, when you look at the wealth of this country is diversifying. There's people who are starting businesses, growing businesses, and need help with growing those businesses. And making that case and showing a larger corporation what's actually going on, I think about that impact too in terms of my job and what I do from a representation standpoint of view. So the next time somebody looks at somebody and says, hey, look at this business that was growing over here as a result of all this Black wealth that's coming, maybe we should give more people opportunity. So I think about impact in terms of my career, not being the only one. Hopefully there'll be more after me, right? And then the impact to my clients. So yeah, I really enjoy it.
Something interesting that you mentioned there is representation. And I think that's super important, especially in the context of what you're talking about with you being, one of the only Black wealth advisors or the only Black wealth advisor maybe where you are. And so there are going to be clients that resonate with you that might not resonate with the rest of the group. And it doesn't mean that they don't have wealth, or it doesn't mean that they don't have the cash, right? They just might not feel what they're talking about the other person is going to get because they just come from a different background. And I see that a ton in the transportation space, especially in the freight brokerage world, because I'm one of like a handful of people that's like risen to the higher ranks of the space at the executive level or ownership level of a brokerage. And I remember going to a conference 2 weeks ago, and I probably got 10 messages on LinkedIn where people saying like, oh my gosh, like looking forward to spending time talking to you at the conference because you look like me. Yeah. You look like someone that I can relate to. And I think to myself, how many people are there that just need to see themselves in that opportunity? Not that they can't do it. They just need to see it for them to feel like they can go do that.
100%. And I feel like this has gone on for years and years and years. And really what I'm talking about is, we start talking about, the way wealth was created. It was, parents talking to their kids. And so, the people that had wealth tended to not be minorities, right? And so they could talk to their kids about wealth and they could grow it. And then all of a sudden it become all this wealth and it becomes a conversation of, well, I'm going to talk to people who I feel comfortable with, right? And there's nothing wrong with that, right? You've got, when you think about entertainers, right? You think about sports and entertainment. There's people that talk only to sports and entertainment people. There's a Women in Wealth initiative where women might feel more comfortable talking to a woman wealth advisor. But having somebody that's a minority as an advisor is something that hasn't been there before, which there's a lot of validity to saying, I want to talk to somebody where I feel comfortable in the room and not have it prescribed to me who I need to talk to. And I think that's important.
And I'll echo on that. I think what I notice is, as a young Black boy, you're taught success is entertainment. You're entertaining somebody, whether you're playing basketball, you're rapping. It's all about making somebody else feel like they are, you're entertaining them. But seeing a Black business person, being practical, down to earth, I'm still Walt, at the end of the day. I think my impact is also just being me. By me being me, by me existing today, and also by me opening doors and not what they call gatekeeping for the kids outside. By not gatekeeping, because I hate that. I really do. Like if we're gonna move forward, the goal I shouldn't hoard anything from anyone.
No.
I made a comment earlier that LeBron James is arguably the best player in the NBA right now. Right. How many other LeBron James exist that don't have this opportunity? Right. And so my goal as a leader is to provide opportunity for people, to give them opportunity to show them another path outside of just entertainment. There's ways to make money. There's ways to be a broker or a strategist, a CEO, all these things I've been able to do simply by you applying yourself. And, that's my goal.
The other thing I would say is that there's responsibility that we have at the level or access to lead the way and pull people along and say, I've got to set the example, right? I've got to be the person opening doors, or I need to be the person showing people that it's not just entertainment or sports, or like there are other things that you can do. And there are people that look like you doing it. You just don't know them. And that's what's amazing to me, especially in Chicago. It's an incredibly diverse city with a ton of opportunity, but there's a lot of really successful Black leadership and executive levels that all of us have never met, because it's super fragmented. And so if we have access to that, we need to show it to other people so that we can continue to collaborate together.
The thing about Chicago that I love about living here, that's different than any place I've ever lived, is, for example, the BLC, the Business Leadership Council. So shout out to Ariel and Charles. I love what the direction of where it's going. I love the opportunity, the fact that there's younger people in the room now. There are people they're speaking up, that are helping bring folks along with them. Chicago has an opportunity to be the black business capital of the world. Okay, this is a place where there's deals, there's people, there's money, there's all these things here. Yet it's fragmented, and so my goal as a black leader is to be an example of how to do that the right way. This is a place where there's no reason why we can't be successful. Entrepreneurs can be created. I want to see more black exits. I want to see more black entrepreneurs. I want to see all these things happen, and it will happen in this city.
You know, it's funny. This will be a vulnerable moment for me, but I would say that, like, growing up, so I'm from Maywood, west side of Chicago. Some pockets of Maywood are great. Some pockets of Maywood aren't very great. Public schools aren't incredible. So my parents put me through private school, right? Me and my brother. And so we were, kind of kept away from some of the stuff that happens on the street because my parents are like, we grew up on the west, both my parents from the west side of Chicago. So like, we're not doing that again. Like, that was crazy. So, they put us in a more controlled environment on purpose, put you through sport, put you through all these things. And I learned how to play the game. I wore a suit and tie from a young age. I knew how to button a tie, put up a tie at 6. I teach kids how to tie ties as adults. What you about to say?
I'm about to challenge that, though. I think the thing for black people, that I'm going to say this on the record.
I love it.
You can never play the game.
You want to know what? You can, though.
No. Let me tell you why. The game wasn't meant to be played for us. The game wasn't made for us. The game's meant to be understood so we can make our own game.
I respect that. But here's what I would say about playing the game. Growing up and going to private school and then going to Illinois Wesleyan, which is a predominantly white school, I was one of like 200 black students. I knew how to represent myself in a manner that was less abrasive to someone that wasn't black. So it made it easier for them to accept me for who I was.
You just answered my thing. You just said it.
Right, here's what I'm saying, though. I learned that from being in an environment that taught me what that looked like. But now I don't care. I wear my hair out. I wear my earrings. I don't take them out. I'm not wearing a suit and tie to stuff because what I've done in my career allows me to walk into rooms and have good conversations because people validate what I've done. But would I have been able to do that had I not learned the stuff that I learned up to this point? I don't know. But I say that to say I feel so much more comfortable now being myself, and I want to teach other people how to do that because I think that's how you become authentic and why people want to work with you or want to gravitate to who you are. But I wish I could have been more of that person at a younger age because that feels more authentically me.
The thing I tell a lot of young people today, I know I'm young, I'll be 36 this year. So
young guy.
Technically, I count as young.
I'm sorry I called you old the last time we were together.
I'm in between. The thing I'll say is, one about the game, I always tell young people, black boys and girls, the game ain't meant to be played, it's supposed to be understood. You understand that game so you can make your own game. That's thing one. But thing two is, it's not about who you know, it's about who knows you. So the way I live my life, even today, is people know my name, my impact, my work ethic, what I've been able to do, what I've been able to achieve. That is my success. So then they call me for opportunity. They call me for the deals. I haven't applied for a job since 2007, right? Every job I've ever had is because somebody's like, oh, I know this guy that could probably do it. There's this guy named Walt. We should call him up. Or, hey, Walt, I thought of you, right? Be that person. So I'm trying to teach people how to create a brand that is that. How do you build something? Whatever you do, whether you do hair or you play basketball, whatever you do, be world class at it, and but also be somebody who's a collaborator, be somebody who reaches back and pulls folks forward. All these tenets of black success aren't just you being successful. It's hinged upon you creating a brand and a network around you that allows you to just propel. So that's my goal. Is you never play the game. You understand it. Because really what you're doing is you understand it. You think you're playing the game. You're not. The game wasn't made for us. It wasn't made by us. This game was given to us. So I understand this game in and out, and I've made my own version of it, which is allowing me to be an executive in 9 industries. It's allowed me to do all these things. It's because I understand the game, and now I make my own.
I think it's important to understand what's going on and then be able to use that to your advantage. Like you said. You about to say something, Germaine?
Yeah, I mean, I think I think it's hard. right? Understanding the game. I understand what you're saying. Playing the game too. I mean, but let's be real here. You know, as black men, you know, there are certain situations where you need to play the game. You're walking down the street. You need to play the game. Police officer pulls you over. You need to play the game, right? History is littered with these things of you having to play the game to do things, right? Definitely understand the game, but I also hope we're learning too. One of the things that that I get a chance to see that I find is so interesting in my work on the wealth side is, and I talk about this all the time. You know, it's not uncommon. It happens very frequently where I start talking to somebody who's just created wealth. They've sold a business. Let's say they're black, and a lot of times they don't want to talk about their wealth, right? And they certainly don't want to talk to their friends about their wealth because for so long we've been taught, don't talk about your wealth, don't do these things. There are groups, and I've talked to these groups and talked about wealth, but the point of these groups were for people to get together to talk about their wealth, how they're growing it and what they're doing it. What was interesting about those rooms is that there's never any black people in those rooms, right? We do not get together. We don't talk about our wealth. We don't talk about things together. And so I think it's an important point. I don't know.
I think it is an important point, though, because what you're saying is there's this collaborative nature that exists in other ecosystems, right, other cultures, and we're missing that. And it's not that there aren't people in pockets or people that we know that are wealthy and have access to funds or whatever it might be, but we're not collaborating to help bring each other up.
Right.
Well, it's also kind of that crab in the barrel mentality sometimes. It's also like, so my own friend group, I love my guys because we are very transparent. So I can tell you what my guys make in salary. I can tell you what they got in investments. I know what they're struggling with. Like, we have these conversations as black men together, and we celebrate each other. We do things that are kind of the abnormal. It's funny, my TikTok was created because a black woman in Chicago told me, I'll never forget, I had made a TikTok a little while ago, and I just posted random stuff, and she's like, I was out at this bar, and she's like, I would love to see, it was all my guys. We're all out. All of us look good. We're educated, successful black brothers. And she said, y'all are fake. And I was like, what does that mean? She goes, well, what I mean is like, why don't y'all exist on social media? Like, it would be great to see y'all on social media. And I was like, social media? I don't give a damn about social media. She goes, no, what I'm saying is, though, it would be good. She goes, the black women in Chicago, we're outside, we're brunching, we're doing things, we're successful. I would love to see black men to celebrate each other. And I was like, huh. Me and my guys do this every single week. Like we have a standing Friday, every single Friday, no matter what we're doing. We meet up at Soul House, we have drinks, we go find a restaurant, we eat dinner. Like it's our thing. We talk, we decompress the week. And so I decided to just start documenting it. And so my entire social media journey is just black men being successful at being black men. You know, in a city like Chicago.
I love this so much. It's incredible.
Yeah, but it's
I'm
rare.
a little upset I didn't get
it needs
my
to be
invite
done
yet,
more.
but like, so
Okay, actually, that's on me. I'll bring you out.
no, it's okay. Yeah.
But that's rare. Yeah. That's very rare. I don't hear that often. So I'm glad to hear you're doing it.
That's dope. I mean, that's another reason why I respect both of you so much, because I see what you're doing to just connect people. And sometimes I feel like people assume that you got to make this worldly impact, and you can impact locally. And those ripple effects are massive, right? So think about the people that just got pulled into your circle that see the way that you move and what they're doing in their circles now with people that you're not connected to because they see the way you are. Like, that's how you make change. That's how you do things differently. So I applaud you for that. That's pretty dope.
Appreciate it.
So I got a question for you, Germaine.
Yeah.
Challenges. I can only assume that being in the private wealth space as a black man has not been the easiest climb for you. So, you know, any challenges that you feel comfortable sharing or stuff that's been tough as you've built your career? You are respected in the space. You've done great work, but I know it wasn't easy to get to where you are.
Yeah, every day is a challenge. But I think we were kind of talking before about this idea of sponsorship. Okay. So I've done this finance investments my entire career. I remember one of my last jobs I was at, again, one of the only on the investment side. I still remember this like it was yesterday. I had just finished a year #1 in sales, and a new manager comes in. So the year ended December 31st. January 31st, I have a conversation with the new manager who says, I'm going to put you on a warning because of your sales. I was like, we're #1 like a month ago and we're off to a good start. He's like, yep, but we're just going to put you on the warning. We're going to put you on a warning. And so much of that goes to how much of this is me or how much of this is a true challenge of something that I'm uniquely not good at. But it was hard for me to reconcile that when I had just finished the last 2 years, as a matter of fact, as #1. So I say all that to say, there are a lot of challenges out there. And especially when you look different than everybody else, there's always going to be challenges, which is why you have the importance of sponsorship. Somebody that believes in you, somebody that not only believes you and kind of talks to you here and there, but somebody that actually puts you in front of opportunities, shows up at your events, and becomes somebody that continues to push you forward. The reason I'm at BMO is because somebody did that at BMO for me, right? They said, look, I want to help you along on your wealth journey, and I think I can put you in the places where you should be. And so that's a sponsorship. That's why I'm at BMO, and that's kind of, it's kind of why I'm there. But those challenges are out there. Those challenges are real, completely real.
They exist, man. I mean, you think about being able to get into a room with an organization as prestigious as BMO, and if you don't have sponsorship, you're probably not getting in that room. Call it what it is, right? And you talked about this at the dinner we had in September, the difference between sponsorship and mentorship. But I would love to have you elaborate on that because I think there's a massive difference between the two. You can mentor somebody, but if you're sponsoring someone, you're making sure that they win. And I think that's something that we have to continue to do and encourage.
So that's true. There are people that I mentor that we meet every now and so. I get a text for brunch and they want my help for something, and I will always give it. If you are black and I'm available, I will meet with you. I will not charge you. I don't care. I made my.
But you charge me.
But I will always do it. The thing is though, for folks that I sponsor, it's a different conversation. So there are people that no matter what's going on, if it even applies to you in any kind of way, let me call. I got a guy named Will. When my guy Ken, I want you to meet. Same. It was like, hey, I got a guy you should like. I firmly believe that sponsorship is for when it comes to advancing black priorities, advancing black people. You got to have more sponsors, more people that are willing to bet on you, that are willing to put their neck out for you, to put you in the rooms, to give you opportunities, the nepotism, whatever you want to call it. I'm doing it. So if I got an up on a deal, and yeah, I could do it, but I know my guy can do it, and I know what's gonna do for him. Guess what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna call my guy, right? I firmly believe in that, and this whole gatekeeping mentality and this whole keeping folks out and hoarding. No. To me, knowledge is meant to be shared, and if I know something and I can share it, I'm going to share it. And if I can know something can make an impact on somebody, I'll make that impact. So for me, sponsorship is it's something that I wish I would have had coming up. I've never had a mentor. I've never had a sponsor. I've never had anybody that invested in me. I've always had to figure it out. So the ladder, I call this ladder half my career because I consider myself having 4 years left of my regular career. I'll be 36 this year, and 40 is kind of it for me, right? And so when I look at my career, all I've been able to do, my biggest goal now is to make sure that there are so many people, black men and women, who can eat, who can thrive, who can sell their businesses, who can just have money in their pocket, all because I had a little bit of an impact in their life. Whether it was an alley-oop on a deal, whether it was just thinking of them in the process, that's my whole goal. So sponsorship to me is an invested interest in someone and making sure that they can get to where they need to be.
I like it. That's good stuff.
Previously known as tight-knit communities, right? Because this stuff has always happened for generations. Yeah. Generations this stuff has happened. My parents know so-and-so, they went to school with so-and-so. Yep. Other people were excluded from so-and-so school, and so you should talk to this person because they can get you a job. This stuff's been happening for eons.
Yep. Yeah. What's funny is it's normal in a lot of circles. Hey, my dad's the this or this. Okay, cool. We get you an internship. That's your dad? Great. Okay, cool. It's hard to get that internship if that's not your dad or your dad's best friend, or you don't have an end to that But does that mean that you're less capable to perform the job? Absolutely not. And so it's up to us to advocate for people that deserve to be in these spaces, because these are life altering moves, like things
When I
that
tell
change your
you,
life.
I have gone,
Change your life.
whether it was at Facebook, it was at Anthem, anywhere I've ever worked, I have gone to hiring managers, fellow executives, and say, hey, I got this resume. I need you to look at this. Because they do it too, right? And I think so much of when you play the game, you're like, no, I'm not going to do that. Let me follow the rules, because if I do this, then no. When you understand the game, guess what you should do? Let me holler at so-and-so for you, bro, because I know the hiring manager. Let me take him to lunch real quick, and let me mention your name. Let me talk about you real quick. Like that's a different conversation. And so my whole thing is, and the plateau that I sit on, and to your point earlier about when your head where you want, I talk like this, I act like this, I am Dirty Walt all through and through, right? Because I can be. But I use that pulley pit or that bull pit to really pull my folks along. So whether it's no matter who I'm sitting down with, if there's an opportunity, I'm gonna mention it. If I know one of my guys has something going on, I'm gonna hook it up. All of my guys, my guy Lime, he sells contemporary men's underwear. Anytime I'm anywhere at an event and there are my people present, or any people, guess what? Hey, I got this guy you should meet. Da, 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 da. Oh, really? Somebody buy something. Germaine was at the Uber event. He met Lime. By the end of the Uber event, he was like, okay, let me purchase. My friend AJ, same thing. I got my guy Richie. He has an IT company. I'm gonna plug him every time I can. My guy Max designs watches. I'm gonna plug him. My guy Claude. Oh, I fucking love Claude. Landon. All these. I'm gonna make sure that my guys are being brought up and they're taken care of. That's always. There's no point in being successful if you can't help other people be successful.
Yeah.
I respect it. So any advice for young Black professionals as they're coming up in their careers, maybe looking for mentorship or sponsorship, or looking for ways that they can represent and help pull people up as they're developing their careers?
I think two of the things we already hit on. One of them is education. Like, you need a baseline of knowledge, right? So I always tell people, like, you got to make sure you're always working on your education, always working on yourself. I think it's important to always be learning, right, and pushing yourself forward. So that's kind of table stakes for it. But then the part that gets missed so much is that the sponsorship that we're talking about. Finding someone that's going to help you along, because that is so important, especially if you're trying to progress through a career in like a corporate sort of a situation. You need advocates. It's what people are saying when you're not in the room, right? You need that. So my two things are education and having somebody that's going to help you along. Those are the two biggest things I think you need. That would be my advice. Yeah.
Dude, I agree with you. I mean, like, to me, education at this point, it's at our fingertips. You can get on YouTube. You can listen to a podcast, right? You could go meet somebody out and they know something more about what they do than you do. It's so easy to receive that, at least from my perspective. Now I'm like, go get it. Like, teach yourself something that you don't know. And you don't have to fit into this box, but just having that information and being able to bring it up in a conversation makes you more relevant. You never know what that's going to yield, things like that. But I just remember getting, like, my parents saying, hey, education matters is super important. But now, as like a seasoned professional in my career, I'm like, gosh, like, thank you for teaching me how to, like, want to go seek out this information. Because now it's like a superpower. It's like, do you want me to go learn something? Because that's going to put me ahead. Like,
Done.
Say no more. Sign me up.
I would agree. I think the thing for me is whatever the form of education, whether it's formal, whether it's informal, learn.
Yep. Yeah.
Right. Library comes talking about the word liberation, right? It comes from learning. Folks who are liberated learn. And so when you think about that, to me, however you learn, wherever your learning source comes from, take it, whether it's YouTube, whether it's university education, whether it's experience, learn. Number two for me is what I said before. It ain't about who you know. It's about who knows you. And so my entire career, every job I've ever had, I'm usually the only Black person. I'm usually the only Black man, da 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 da. I know that when I walk in the room. I know, to your point earlier about your story earlier about the difference with, even though you hit goals, you hit goals, but you're Black. So because you hit goals, no. So I've been in that situation, and guess what? I still question it. If I touch the fire, I know it's hot. I'm not going to complain about it because I know it's hot. So guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to outwork everybody in this office. I'm going to outperform all of y'all. So no matter what you say, no matter what you throw at me, what you do, guess what? I'm world class. And so the thing I tell young black people is no matter what, be world class at something. Make sure people know your name, know your impact, what you do. Whether it be how you collaborate with people, whether it be your innovative ideas, whatever it may be world class at that. And then let these things come. Like I said, it ain't about who you know. It's about who knows you. Who's mentoring your name in these rooms? Who's bringing you up? Who's hooking you up? That's ultimately what's going to bring us forward as people. Yeah. And when we get rid of gatekeepers and we get rid of all these things, my vision is to see people thriving. That's what I want to see happen. It's showing in my own circle, it's working.
Dude, I agree. I mean, I think there's something to be said about teaching people how to advocate for their own success, because sometimes it seems like bragging, but it's not. So if you're not going to the people that you report to, your managers, and talking about the impact you've had, quantifying the impact, talking about the things you're working on, but hear me out here, talking about like what you're doing, you got two things there. You have the information for what you did and the impact, and they're aware of what you're doing. It doesn't mean that they're always going to make the right choice, but it's helpful for you to advocate for yourself.
So folks out there were doing resumes, applying for jobs. I'm going to say something. When I worked at Facebook, I would get these, bless you.
Thank you.
I would get these people, well, I need to get a job at Facebook. And they send me their resume and I did this, I did 17 that, I did 25 this. I'm like, okay, but what's your impact, right? The thing about when you're writing your resumes, when you're applying for jobs, you got to focus on impact. So 1 + 1 = 2 because what? Because what? I did A, B, and C, which created X, Y, and Z. I enabled the company to do this, like that is impact. So in your resumes, in your cover letters, you talk about the impact you were able to do. By you doing this, this happened, which enabled this function. These are things that I think, but what I've noticed is, and especially in our communities, is these aren't tips we're getting. Right, we're getting resume writing classes, and black people get a lot of lectures, right? We get a lot of lectures, right? But then nobody's giving out opportunities. A lot of people are telling you what you could be doing. No one's actually giving you practical steps. The practical step is in your resume. Focus on the what. By you doing 1, 2, and 3, X, Y, and Z happened. That's impact, right? You call that out. You lift it up in your performance reviews, in your resumes. You can't expect people to just, especially because it's us, you can't expect people just to, because you work 12 hours. I had a guy the other day, man, I worked 14 hours the other day. Who cares? What did you achieve?
Okay.
You work 14 hours, but then what? Right? So focus on impact, focus on, because I delivered this, X, Y, and Z happened.
Let me know if you want to come help with Journey. You know what I'm saying? We do a couple things with recruiting. We might need you helping people get their resumes up to stuff, man. No, man, it's funny because we have conversations with incredibly talented candidates, and you hear and you talk to them like, oh my gosh, you're a rock star. The resume does not say rock star, right? So you need to learn how to articulate what you've done. It's a massive impact on the organization. But if you don't know how to talk about it, nobody care. It doesn't matter. So,
but I do want to go back to one thing you said too, and that's the advocacy part. You know, that's the one part I would say to anybody starting out too. You know, after having done this, you know, because I'm much older than you two. So after having done this,
you look good.
So after having done this for so long and realizing, like being in the workforce, that it just feels like there are certain groups that advocate more for themselves and are much more comfortable advocating for themselves than other people. Like growing up as a black kid, right? You want me to go advocate to my parents? I would catch a beating, right? You don't talk back to your parents. That was just it. But but that's not learned across the board. So I've seen people go in and advocate for things like raises. Advocate. Here's what I've done. Here's what I deserve. Boom, boom, boom. They'll go out and lay the case. You might have done more, but because you don't know how to advocate for yourself, you don't get as much. So learn how to advocate for yourself, I think, is a huge one people should know.
Yeah, I agree. So as we get ready to wrap up here, I want you to think about your legacy or impact as a black leader, a black professional. 100 years from now, it's a wrap. You're done. What's your legacy or impact?
I can tell you mine. My legacy is simple. It's what I enable others to do. I did an interview a long time ago, and the guy asked me, if you could be any animal in the animal kingdom, what would you be? And most men say the lion. Most men, white or black, say, I'm the lion, I'm the alpha, I'm this. And I looked at him and said, no, I'm the lioness. Without me, this tribe doesn't exist. Without me, nobody eats. So my legacy is my impact. My legacy is what I enable others to do. By me existing, by me being Walt, people became millionaires, which is true. People sold their businesses. People grew their businesses. They grew their careers. They were able to do all kind of crazy things, all because we became friends. That's my impact. My own success, it is what it is. But what I can enable others to do, that's my impact. And so when I'm gone from here, that's what I want to be able to say is, no matter what you say about me, I didn't gatekeep. I never, if I can share it, I will. And ultimately, my success is measured by who I was able to help be successful.
Beautiful.
I think about that question a lot. And broadly what I think is this. So we think about where we are on the evolution of timeline in terms of wealth creation, right? We're just now starting to get at a point where you're starting to see significant wealth creation for Black individuals. My hope is that I will have at least contributed to the conversation of learning about what to do with that wealth, because there's so much that gets missed where money gets given back to the government because, I didn't put this in the trust, so it goes through probate. Now I have to pay out these attorneys. And all of a sudden you have this self-fulfilling prophecy of 2 generations later, that generation is broke. My hope is that I will have contributed to the conversation around there's planning that we should be thinking about to keep more money in our families, to grow our families so that they are better off in the future, right? That's a part that I hope that I'm part of creating that.
That's good stuff. Well, I appreciate both of you joining. I would say that if I were to look at impact or legacy, for me, it would be very similar to both of those. I think about the people I've had in my life that have made a massive impact on me. My mom and pops, right? Coaches I had, mentors I had, Joy at Kimberly-Clark, like these people that saw me and said, hey, I believe in you, even when you might not. You might not think you got this, but like, I believe you got this, right? I would not be who I am today without those people. And so for me, I want to be that person for as many people as I can, because it just takes one conversation, one phone call, could be a 30-minute conversation you have with somebody, and that changes their life because they're like, man, Germaine, he believes in me. Like, Walter, cool. Like, I'll hit you up in 6 months when I'm doing my thing, right? And for me, I feel good about where I am in my life, my career now, where I go, I have to give back to as many people as possible to see them win, because I know what it's like to be that person and want to get there. Like, that really matters.
Let me pause something though real quick for Black people listening. You can't give back if you didn't take something. So you're not giving back, you're pulling folks forward.
Yeah.
That's the difference. I always hear this, I gotta give back. You ain't giving back shit. You gotta pull folks forward. So that's what you're doing. You're pulling folks forward. We didn't take anything, so we're not giving anything back. What we're doing is we're pulling our people forward to meet us, to exceed us. That's what we're doing. And that's the biggest thing that I've been on lately is I'm not giving anything back. I ain't got nothing to give back. What I can do though, I can pull you forward and I can help you meet me and then exceed me. That's what I'm gonna do.
Yeah, I think that really matters. And I just think about the people that have been able to do that for me. And I want to do that for as many people as I can reach, as many people that want to have that impact. And just want to say thank you to both of y'all for participating. Our first Black History Month version of Chopping It Up, powered by Journey. Incredible conversation. Appreciate you taking the time. Thank you.
Thank you, Will, for having us.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, man.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.